This conference will now be recorded.
We'll get started to the November South Whitehall Planning Commission meeting. We'll start with a roll call.
Oops, sorry. Matthew Mulqueen.
Here.
Diane Kelly.
Here.
Brian Height.
Here.
Bill McNair.
Here.
Alan Tope.
Here.
David Wilson. Not here. Mark Luth. Also not present. 5 members are present. That's sufficient for a quorum.
Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll go through the agenda. We have 3 subdivision review cases that we'll go through, but we'll start out with the approval of the meeting minutes for September 16th and October 21. These were handed out to the commission previously, and if I will start with this September 16 minutes, are there any comments or changes to that?
Motion to approve?
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Diane. We'll roll call vote.
Matthew Mulqueen.
Aye.
Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope. Okay. Motion passes 4-0 with 1 recusal.
Okay, and next we'll go to the October 21, 2021 meeting minutes. Any comments, questions, changes?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Diane, second by Brian. Full vote.
Matthew Mulqueen.
Abstain, I wasn't present.
Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, 1 abstention.
Okay. Moving right along, agenda item 3, comprehensive plan update. David? By the way, you see David will be talking at the microphone. If anybody wants to talk today, we want to use the microphone. These are transmitted. The township members can see these and hear these minutes, these meetings at home, and it works much better if you're talking into the microphone.
So just with regard to the comprehensive plan update, at the last meeting, we worked out the schedule. I believe it was Tuesday after the first Wednesday. So the first meeting is January 11th. I put the holds on the room going all the way to June. So we should be ready to go for that. We'll have the room booked. And then I will start advertising on the calendar and through the blog and our email list. And things like that. That's about all I have for the comp plan update.
Okay, thank you, David. And again, the comprehensive plan is the key document that we have to control how we develop, and I think it's the most important thing that we as a planning commission do with the township. Okay. Agenda item 4 is the subdivision review, and we have 3 cases today. We are going to start with the Kratzer Elementary School Major Plan 2021-103. And it's a request for preliminary final plan review, and this will be staff presentation, the applicant presentation, courtesy of the floor, and then the planning commission decision. So we'll start out with Greg and the staff presentation.
This is an application to further develop the property located at 2200 Huckleberry Road. The plan proposes an 18,635 square foot building addition on the north side of the existing elementary school and several stormwater BMPs on the 11.44 acre property. The subject property is zoned R4 medium density residential. Parkland School District is the owner and applicant. The Community Development Department recommends that the Planning Commission recommend preliminary final approval to the Board of Commissioners, subject to the applicant complying with the following conditions. 1, that the applicant shall execute subdivision improvement, security, maintenance, and indemnification agreements acceptable to the township and its solicitor be executed, that sufficient security in a form acceptable to township be posted. Such security shall be available for draws presentation no further than 60 miles from the township's office, and the evidence of necessary insurance coverage shall be provided prior to the plan being recorded. 2, that the applicant address to the satisfaction of the township engineer the comments of Mr. Anthony Talarita as contained in his review letter dated November 12, 2021. 3, that the applicant address to the satisfaction of township geotechnical consultant the comments of Mr. Chris Taylor as contained in his reviews dated July 9th, November 2nd, and November 10th, 2021. 4, that the applicant address to the satisfaction of the Community Development Department the comments of Mr. Greg Adams as contained in his review dated November 12th, 2021. 5, that the applicant address to the satisfaction of the Public Works Department the comments of Mr. Herb Bender as contained in his review dated October 27th, 2021. 6, that the applicant obtain a letter from the LVPC approving the stormwater management plan. 7, that the applicant obtains a letter from PADEP and/or LCCD approving the NPDES permit application pursuant to Section 31239E of SALDO. 8, the applicant obtains a letter from PADEP approving the sewage facilities planning module. 9, that the applicant obtains a highway occupancy permit or permits from PennDOT for the work within the right-of-way of Whitehall Avenue. 10, that the applicant complies with the September 14, 2021 recommendation of the Parks and Rec Board. 11, that the applicant complies with the October 29th, 2021 recommendation of Landscape and Shade Tree Commission. 12, that the applicant addresses all issues and obtains all approvals deemed necessary by the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners insofar as matters pertaining to the township's water and sewer services are concerned. 13, that the applicant shall dedicate additional right-of-way for Whitehall Avenue to achieve an ultimate right-of-way for a collector road. The dedication of road right-of-way shall occur prior to the plan being recorded. The dedication shall be by deed of dedication in a form acceptable to the township solicitor and shall be provided to the township with an opinion of record title prepared by the applicant's counsel that indicates the right-of-way is free and clear of liens and encumbrances that would adversely affect the township's use of such right-of-way. 14, that a declaration of covenants and easements for maintenance of stormwater management facilities be prepared by the township solicitor be executed for the maintenance of the on-site stormwater management facilities. 15, that the plan be amended to include a note referencing state highway law pursuant to Section 508.6 of the PA-MPC and Section 312.12A9 of SALDO. 16, that the applicant reconciles all open invoices for township engineering and legal services prior to the plan being recorded. And 17, that the plans are to be revised and deemed to be clean prior to them being presented to the Board of Commissioners. The Planning Commission deadline, soft deadline, to act on the plan is December 20th, 2021. The Board of Commissioners' hard deadline to act is January 19th, 2022.
Thank you, Greg. Turn it over to you and for the applicant, and if you turn is the microphone on?
Okay. Thank you, Scott McMacken with Cowan Associates. We were here, I believe, back in July presenting the plan for the building addition on Kratzer Elementary School. If you'd like me to go over it again, I certainly can. But essentially, there's an addition that's proposed in the back of the existing school that's going to have some additional classrooms and media center, some outdoor learning spaces, and increase the capacity of the school and accommodate new programming requirements. So we went through a lot of the issues in July. There were some stormwater management issues, some geotechnical issues that we felt was appropriate to go back and review and resolve before we came back before the Planning Commission. We have done that, and I believe we have review letters from Tony and from Hanover I believe addressing the lion's share of those comments. There's some minor cleanup and typographical type issues to remain. But all the items that Greg went through and all the review letters, I believe are minor in nature and will comply at this point. We feel we can, address those comments with one minor revision and move along to the next step of the process. So unless there's any questions or we'd like to go over the project again, I certainly can do that. But the only other items, I think we do have a waiver letter. We're requesting several waivers from your ordinance, and would like to have any comments on those waivers and recommendations moving forward on those as well.
Does the Planning Commission have any questions?
I just have one question, and maybe Tony could help me with this. The waiver that requested the requirement of frontage on Whitehall and Huckleberry. I know that your review letter states that you didn't have an engineering objection. I guess my question was, would that be something we would defer as opposed to permanently waive with this project?
That's correct, yes. We have no objection, noting that the width of the road at this time seems adequate for the traffic presented, but we would recommend the Planning Commission consider that a deferral or any opportunity in the future for widening if necessary. So we would suggest a deferral.
Thank you.
We have no problem with that.
Would be a deferral on item D in the.
And
Okay.
I had one other question. The zoning officer had made note of the one large off-street loading zone. Has that issue been?
Yeah, well, that's another item, a minor plan. We'll note that on the plan.
The plan is to.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's really there's no modifications to any of the parking or travel ways or any of the traffic issues on the site. So everything kind of the way it is now is the way it's gonna.
Okay. Any other questions? I do have one, just because some of these waivers we're going to talk about are stormwater, and the issue that it surrounds is karst or limestone, and the result here seems to be that there's not a concern here. How many tests or borings have been done at the school?
We did 4 infiltration tests for the stormwater management, and then we did a separate geotechnical analysis for the building addition itself. So I believe we did 11 borings within the footprint of the building, and then we did a couple extra probes in the area that we did the infiltration testing. So the infiltration testing went down about 8 feet where we did the actual infiltration testing for the stormwater. The probes went down to about 18 feet, and then the borings we went down to about 45 feet and did not hit bedrock or any did not have any karst features. So we were comfortable that with that depth and the rates that we got in terms of infiltration, that would this is an appropriate site for infiltration.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to start going through the waivers and deferrals one by one, and we'll vote on them. So this is on page 40 of the book. First one is a waiver for the Saldo section 312-11 and 312-12, a waiver on the requirement for preliminary plan submission. And this one, the waiver is not necessary here in South Whitehall because we do not require that. So we're not going to
Withdraw that.
we're just not going to.
That's fine.
Grant that. You don't need it.
Okay.
So the second one is Saldo 312-12B 20, waiver of the requirement to show location, character, and elevation of any building within 100 feet of the tract. And there's no engineering objections. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Diane, second by Brian. Roll call vote.
Matthew Mulqueen.
Aye.
Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
The item C, Saldo 312-12B15 and 312-12B21. Waiver of the requirement to show sidewalks, trails, driveways, streets, easements, existing and proposed contours, et cetera, within 400 feet of the tract. No engineering objections. Motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Diane.
Matthew Mulqueen.
Aye.
Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay.
Can you speak into the mic? I don't think
Okay.
you're coming through.
Let me just- For, now we're on item D. The, this is Saldo 312-26A and 312-35B. And this will be a deferral of the requirements of property frontage improvements along Whitehall Avenue and Huckleberry Road, including cartway, widening, curb, sidewalks, street trees, et cetera. And there's no engineering objections to this.
So moved.
I would say that's a deferral to the extent shown on the plan.
Deferral to the extent shown on the plan.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Diane.
Matthew Mulqueen. Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Item E, this is SMP 296-9J, waiver of the requirement of having a basin liner with a permeability rate of 10 to the minus 7 centimeters per second. And the Township geotechnical consultant has reviewed this. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Brian and Alan?
Matthew Mulqueen. Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Item F, SMP 296-9K, waiver of the requirements for groundwater recharge shall not be permitted in areas of limestone geology. The Township geotechnical consultant has said this is an acceptable waiver. Motion, call for motion.
So moved.
Okay. Who, Brian and Alan?
Alan. Matthew Mulqueen. Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item G, SMP 296-12I3, waiver of the requirement of having an infiltration rate no less than 0.5 inches per hour. And Township Geo Consultant is acceptable, that's acceptable. Motion?
Aye. Second.
Alan and Brian?
Matthew Mulqueen. Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And finally, item H, SMP 296-12L4, waiver of the requirement of setbacks for stormwater infiltration facilities. And this was acceptable to the geotechnical. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Brian
Second.
and Diane.
Matthew Mulqueen. Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. And then finally, well, let's go through, we'll do, got those Let's go through courtesy of the floor. Any public comment? This is for this, just for this project. We'll get to, we'll give you, that's for this. Hang on.
Public comment on Kratzer Elementary.
Yeah. Okay, none here. Any on the chat? Okay. So ask for a motion to approve the plans subject to the 17 conditions.
So moved.
Okay.
All right. Matthew Mulqueen. Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your time.
Good luck, gentlemen.
All right. Next, we will be doing Long's Water Technology Major Plan 2021-106, request for preliminary final plan review. And we'll start with the staff presentation.
All right, this is an application to further develop the property located at 1567 Houseman Road. The plan proposes the raising of all existing structures on the lot and the construction of a 5,600 square foot commercial building, a 14 space parking lot, and associated stormwater management facilities on the 1.2833 acre lot. The subject property is served by public water and sewer and is zoned highway commercial. Carroll and Warwick Inc. is the owner, and Long's Water Technology is the applicant. This plan was reviewed at the September 16th Planning Commission meeting. And there was a prior plan approved on this, Major Subdivision 2007-108 Long's Water Technology, all the way back in December 3rd, 2008. The Community Development Department recommends that the Planning Commission take the plan under advisement to afford the applicant the time necessary to address the reviewing agency's comments. Our recommendation is contingent upon the applicant granting the township a waiver from the time frame in which to act upon the plan. However, should the Planning Commission find the plan sufficient to advance them to the boards of commissioners, we would recommend that the applicant apply with the following conditions. Shall I read the conditions or just state there are 18 of them?
Let's go with there are 18.
There are 18 proposed conditions. The Planning Commission deadline, soft deadline to act on the plan is December 20th, 2021. Note that is after the next Planning Commission meeting. The Board of Commissioners' hard deadline to act on the plan is January 19th, 2022.
Okay.
We've been on Route 309 right up the street since 1988. In 1998, I bought the business along with Scott Warwick, my partner. We've been, running that business since then. We found out just recently this year that we had lost our lease. We'll not be able to stay there. So immediately we contacted Adam and wanted to get our plan moving again to build on this property on Houseman Road because we have to do something with it. You might be aware of that property. We had it under agreement of sale with somebody else who wanted to do something else there. Fortunately for us, it became, that did not go through. I think this is, that our business would fit into that neighborhood extremely well. It's a much smaller plan. We've known that neighborhood for a long time. Everybody around there knows us. A lot of them are our customers. So it's really a perfect fit for our community, for South Whitehall, for our business. Most of our employees are very local. A lot of them are Parkland grads. We bring people out of the VOTEC. Very nice for the VOTEC kids. We want to stay. What I'm trying to say is we desperately want to stay in South Whitehall Township. We have a very, very small window to build in there. From a year from now, we cannot be on that property anymore. Not being able to go here will probably, I don't know what will end up for us, where we'll have to go, probably out of the township. I don't want that to happen. And then again, we would have to sell this property, and I don't know what South Whitehall would have to face in the future with that property as well. So there's a very small window. So tonight's decision, I can't tell you how important it is to us to be able to move forward and get this done. Like I said, I know there's some people here tonight from the area that are behind us, and we would really like to get in there and get that done. We have less than 1 year. I think that covers basically what I wanted to say. Thanks, Sam.
So the project involves an approximately 5,600 square foot building, 14 parking spaces with an additional 5 internal garage spaces. We have a stormwater detention basin out front. We are asking for several waivers. If you remember, one that we talked extensively about last time we were here dealt with road widening and sidewalk deferrals. And the reason why we were asking for that is partly because there isn't sidewalk on adjacent properties, and this is a relatively small property, but also due to project schedule. If we had to do road widening and put in storm sewer that went down the street, it would bring us over an acre, which would require an NPDES permit and would kill the schedule of the project, frankly. One question that the Planning Commission had at the last meeting was whether if in 2, 3, whatever years, the deferral gets called in and we put the sidewalk in, would we need an NPDES permit at that time? And I spoke with the Conservation District. I looped Tony into that conversation, and they confirmed that as long as the project is complete and stabilized, when you would choose to call in a deferral, we would not need an NPDES permit. Given the tight window for this project, Jim's planning on being in the building in September. So this project would get completed, stabilized very quickly. So it would be finished when you would call in that deferral. We did receive the comments from township staff and from the Pidcock company. The letter was very clean, and we're happy to comply. The Pidcock company did not recommend approval for, I believe, 2 main reasons. We did meet with Greg and Tony and Herb and David to discuss the project yesterday. And they explained that those 2 main reasons were that our stormwater discharge needed to be angled farther downhill, downstream as it leaves the property. And also that we put together a future improvements plan that shows where the sidewalk would go and the road widening and the curb and how all that would work with the current plan, that everything would be planned in the future. We did not show how storm sewer would discharge in the future. Tony asked us to put a plan together that shows if it could work. And so after that meeting, Jim and I went to the site, looked at the existing conditions, put a plan together showing that discharge, and we did send it to Greg and to Tony for their review, showing that would work. So I'm confident that we can work with township staff and with the township engineer to address any outstanding comments. I won't speak for Tony and how he feels about the plan that we sent to him, but I respectfully request conditional approval tonight, conditioned upon, of course, meeting any outstanding comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
When did you send that plan to Tony and the staff?
9 a.m. this morning,
So 11 hours ago.
11 hours ago, yes, sir. And really the purpose of the plan was just to show this is the route that storm sewer could take off of the site to discharge. That there was a feasible option.
It's really the only. We would really like to see. We didn't go through the waivers. I think we would have a time. Something like that. That would make it. We would like to see the.
Okay. Yeah, I did put inverts on the plan, inverts top elevations. So it's a relatively detailed plan, but we didn't have detailed calculations into the storm sewer. We laid it out, we showed elevations. We don't have calculations at this time.
Mm-hmm. The problem I have is that this board hasn't seen it at all.
Understood.
So it's hard to vote on something we haven't vetted or seen in our packet.
I would agree. I mean, it was a concept letter, and my understanding is Tony certainly did look at it, but there's more detail that he needs to certainly advise us.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm sorry to jump in there, but no, like we said, it's a concept plan. The concept appears to work. We've had a couple times with this location, but I can't confirm 100% because there's just there's some items that we spoke about that Adam knows about, calculations, things like that we can say it appears that it could work, but that's what we can give at this point. We didn't have a full review on it.
Your microphone. When would you need Adam's input in order for us to review it?
I would say if we could get the calculations probably before the holidays, we could be able to review that and turn the letter around for
I mean, before Thanksgiving, so
That's
that we
correct.
can review it in December.
correct. We would have a letter out a week ahead of the planning commission for the December meeting. The date specific, but if we can get the calculations in the next week or so, we could do that.
Is that possible?
I hate to lose a month, but yeah, that's absolutely possible.
And then that would go to the BOC January.
Yeah, it would still get to the BOC before January. So
Yeah, that would be the mid-January meeting. I think that would be the 19th.
yeah, yep. You don't want the wheels to fall off if it goes in front of the BOC either. So get it right if we can. Is
I
that
would
it
agree.
doable before Thanksgiving?
Yes.
And does that schedule?
It pushes us back a month, so it hurts, but my hope was that we would get recommended and then we could work with Tony over the next prior to the Board of Commissioners meeting and resubmit for the mid-December meeting. But I respect where you're coming from also.
We just hate to set a precedent for other projects. I'm sympathetic to your needs, but we also have to look at the holistically of the township and our planning processes and make sure everything's vetted before. I mean, we're the planning agency for the BOC. They rely on our recommendations. And considering a plan was submitted at 9 a.m. this morning, I would feel more comfortable having us give a proper recommendation to that board rather than being contingent on something.
And there were also some changes. Last time you were talking about infiltration, and you've changed it around some. So
We did. I think actually it's, we cleaned up some of the stormwater comments that Tony previously had. And I think we're in good shape now from a stormwater management standpoint. So in general, is the planning commission essentially relatively favorable to the plan, the concept, the waivers, as long as the downstream stormwater issue is acceptable?
I would say yes. Yeah,
Waiting
absolutely.
on the engineers.
You know, unfortunately, the plan was submitted this morning. We would have had another week and it would have made our packet. We could have a different conversation this evening. But I can't speak for the others, but I'm very in favor of this project. Just getting it vetted properly so we can make a good recommendation to the BOC.
And that's where I am too. You know, I think we have just getting those details done would go, and you know what the schedule is and work with that. Any comments from the audience? This is just for this project, just in case you.
And to be fair, I'm concerned about your neighbors to the south, and I want to just make sure everything works as well. Because we're talking stormwater here, and so I'm just very cognizant of that as well.
We did go over the plan with.
Okay.
Good.
Great. Thank you.
Nothing from the chat? Okay.
Make a motion to table.
Okay. Second. You say a second?
Yep.
Matt? Roll call.
Matthew Mulqueen.
Aye.
Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Phil McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
All right. The third one today is the Ridge Farm Final Phase Plan Phase 1A, Major Plan 2017-101. Request for final plan review. And Greg will have the
Yes.
presentation.
Yes, indeed. This is an application to develop the properties located at Huckleberry Road, pin, 548746422139. The plan proposes one 30,000 square foot medical office building, the construction of approximately 265 linear feet of Road F on the north side of that Walbert Avenue Office Center Road intersection, the construction of approximately 240 linear feet of Road G and the driveway onto Walbert Avenue, the construction of the entire commercial village Main Street, right-of-way improvements along the entire northern frontage of Walbert Avenue east of Cedar Crest Boulevard, and along approximately 515 linear feet of the eastern frontage of Cedar Crest Boulevard north of Walbert Avenue, and associated stormwater management facilities on the 9.15 acre portion of the 111.1787 acre tract. The property is zoned R10 and T&D Residential Cluster Overlay District and is being developed as a T&D Residential Cluster Overlay. K. Walbert LLC is the equitable owner and applicant. Hold on, wait for it. The Community Development Department recommends the Planning Commission take the plan under advisement to afford the applicant time necessary to address the reviewing agency's comments. Our recommendation is contingent upon the applicant granting the township a waiver from the time limit in which to act upon the plan. The Planning Commission soft deadline to act on the plan is January 17th, 2022. The Board of Commissioners' hard deadline to act on the plan is February 16th, 2022.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Turn it over to you all.
Well, all right, thank you. I'm sure he's going to bring up the plan here in just a second. Good evening again, Jason Engelhardt with Langen Engineering. As Greg spoke about a moment ago, this is the first submission of a final plan for phase one, what we're calling phase 1A. And this represents 9 acres of the 138 acre traditional neighborhood portion of the project. The idea here is to begin kind of on the priority corner and streetscape of the project. So to begin the streetscape, or begin the main entrances to the project off of Walbert, construct the entry plazas, the main street, develop that main street, and set the tone of the project. And that tone will be also set with the gateway at the intersection of Cedar Crest and Walbert, and a thoughtfully designed medical office building that Spellman Farmer has been working on for a number of months. So again, set the style and the tone and the architectural elements of the project, and develop some of the initial plazas, so everyone gets a good sense of what we're doing. Part of the intent too is to try to come in with something that's relative to this overall scale of this project that was a little simpler to understand and to review, and so we can get through that final stage and get under construction fairly quickly. So, we've been pursuing our permits, especially for this area in particular, pretty aggressively. The outside agency permits, we're about to make another resubmission to PennDOT on the HOP. The NPDS permit for the southern half of the project, all of phase 1, is being expedited and is on its second review. So we hope to have that by the end of the year. And that's the idea of why we're moving forward with here. So we did receive the review letters from the township staff, from Tony's office. You also had your outside planner, Tom Comita, who hasn't reviewed the plans in some time, reviewed this element of the plan. So there's some comments there that we're going to work on addressing. I think what we'll do with our next plan submission here is there's some more details of the plaza, some of the more detailed planting plans that we can include. I know that there was a request for some of the architecture to see the building itself and the elevation. So I'll ask Spillman to pull that together, and also work on addressing Tony's comments in particular. There was some discussion about providing a supplemental stormwater analysis, which Tony and I spoke about today. So we'll provide that. There was discussion about how the traffic in particular is going to be phased. So Mr. Hoffman's not here tonight, but we did speak about it. He had a recent conversation with PennDOT as recent as this week. They talked about the scope of what needs to be done for this piece of the project, this initial phase, as well as a supplemental analysis. So the overall traffic study is approved, but they're going to do a supplemental analysis for the 2 site driveways in the intersection, and look at the traffic signal warrants too. And we'll, in addition to providing that analysis to PennDOT, we'll provide that to Pitcock as well for them to review. So there's some homework on my plate to pull together to provide to both Greg and staff and Tony's office, and as well as some of that information to you. And then hopefully the next time we come back, I can also present you some more details of the plaza areas and some of those detailed planting plans, so you can see what these areas are going to look like a little. Again, it's represented on the drawings I submitted, but there is some more detail that was requested, and we can provide that.
One thing is good, that we were doing this part of the project and phase, but I guess there's a need to have a clear understanding. There's a few conditions for the overall project, and to know when are those going to be done? Kind of when do they all fit into the overall plan? Some of them are with this phase, some of them may be later, but there may be PennDOT requirements that you do them now, and other things like that. I guess it's the Buckman and Dawes Street, getting that. I know it's almost resolved, but when will that, things are dependent on that. So there needs to be an overall schedule of when do all these things fit into your phased plans?
Right. And I think that's, do you want to address that?
And those are all valid concerns. Some of that I'll work out with your solicitor's office, and they can get you some information. The Buckman Road, that's I believe is complete. Those deeds are recorded. That one's done. I just had another conversation with Irene over at the city of Allentown, and I expect that to come through shortly. But I can probably coordinate that with your solicitor's office. I think that the Buckman, is completed. And I don't have the concurrence of the solicitor's office. They have to review the documents and opine. I think we're done with that, and the other one should come in shortly.
That's all I was going to add. I recognize, I think you had provided the documents to Joe Zader, but I think we're still in the process of reviewing what you had provided, so.
Yeah, and they've since been recorded. They're part of the chain of title. So that I think that's pretty much locked down. There are some of the, you raise an interesting point, the way the conditions are structured, some of them are going to have to be held off until future phases, obviously, because of the way the work's progressing. But I think there's a way to logically get through it all.
And that's what we need to understand, how you're planning, how this fits with all those things.
Gotcha.
They just are, may happen at different times to work together.
Understood.
Any other?
I have one question about the Lanta bus stop. Has this final plan been submitted to them?
The bus stop's in the same location as it has been previously.
Okay, but has this final been submitted to them for their vetting, because they have certain aspects of new bus stops where they want buses to pull off, and where it's located is right in the turn lane. So
Yeah,
I would just like a letter from Molly. Molly Wood is their planner. So
yeah, that remains a discussion between PennDOT and Molly at Lanta.
Right.
They're
I know
that issue that issue remains. There's PennDOT wants it in one location and Lanta wants it in another.
right. So and then you want it at a different one. Now, you're willing to do it wherever they want it.
I'm willing to do it where they wish. They had asked us to push it. Lanta had asked us to push it closer to the intersection. PennDOT said no.
Right. So, okay.
So somebody has to.
Thank you.
You're right. That's still open.
Any other questions from the planning commission? You all are clear with what we're looking for? Any questions, comments from the floor? Or from the
Did you need any more direction from us on anything, or you had to come back? So
I don't think so. We're going to be speaking to the staff, and as you mentioned, the conditions are something that we're going to have to parse out so we understand what applies to this phase and what's the later phase. But
was there any consideration of doing all of phase one without an A or a B?
There was, and in fact, I think the discussion with the township, at least with staff, was we have to post security for all of phase one at one time. The intent here was we know that this medical office building is getting built first and it's under design, and we know how that's going to set the tone of the development. And the goal was to try to simplify this initial stage so we can get this under construction, hopefully early into next year. So that's why not to include all of it. We're still working on designing some of those buildings, the apartment buildings there. So we weren't quite ready to bring that forward.
Okay.
But I would think the way this will progress is from this phase 1A to all of phase one being the next final phase, and then all of phase two. So it'll be kind of a 3-step process.
Anything else? You all, anything? And, okay, we're all set. Motion
Need a
to,
motion at table? So moved.
Second.
motion by Diane and second by Brian.
Matthew Mulqueen. Diane Kelly.
Aye.
Brian Height.
Aye.
Bill McNair.
Aye.
Alan Tope.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, agenda item number 5, transportation infrastructure update.
Good evening again. So as I said last time, we have hit the paving window and the plants are closing down. No wearing course can be placed, obviously, because of the time of year and temperature. So right now, one thing that we're doing for the township is we're working on all the roads that get dedicated to the township get put on an PennDOT map. And what that does is the Public Works can actually submit for liquid fuels, get more money for those. So we're working on that with Public Works. Additionally, there was an article in FMZ recently, I guess 380 million over 5 years being added to the region. That's definitely a benefit. In the article specifically was mentioned in the widening of 22 and specific to this township is the Tillman Street interchange. So hopefully that project's being pushed through, gets funded correctly, and we can see the benefits in our township of that improvement.
Thank you, Tony. All right, and then agenda item number 6 is the comprehensive plan update. Anything else? Any questions on the comprehensive plan? Just agenda item 7, the 2022 meeting dates. I think we have them.
Yeah, I think last meeting you said everyone was fine with the third Thursday of every month. I just want to confirm that before it goes to advertising next month.
I believe there were no holidays.
No conflicts with holidays. All right, so they will all be advertised third Thursday of the month for next year.
And then the comprehensive plan is the Tuesday after the first Wednesday.
Yes.
So that it's basically the week between the Board of Commissioners meetings.
Greg, are you going to go advertise those as well in a block?
Yeah, in the paper, and then of course it'll be on the website as well.
Very good, thank you.
We'll notice those comp plan workshops as joint meetings so we can get the BOC involved should they choose to show up to them.
Okay, thank you. All right, that takes care of agenda item number 7. Agenda item number 8 is the general courtesy of the floor.
Pretty socks on. Now. Comfortable with you poking fun at me for the rest of my career. That's fine. I honestly, for a second, I thought I had dozed. I've done this 30 years. I've never fallen asleep. I go, did I just fall asleep? Thanks for your time. We wanted to stop back, but we're going to be making a submission that will be before you officially next month. We are proceeding to the zoning board on Monday, the 22nd. And Greg, did you get the email that you can put the plan up or no? Okay, no problem. We've got copies.
Yeah.
We just want to show you where we're going and then just give you a little bit of an update because I think it'll help put in context where this is now.
Enough.
I will not need one because conflict solicitor is not here tonight.
So this is the new plan. As you can see, there's been a slight change, which is it is now just proposed to be the Wawa. What that lets us do is we can eliminate a fair amount of the setback relief. And in fact, I think we're down to none. All the spots comply now. So all of the parking spots comply. Now, we've shifted the driveway on Chapman's a few feet. We've left it on Chapman's, but I did want Pete to tell you what he's done with PennDOT to this point, because we did listen to your comment last time and have taken that into account.
So we've submitted the scoping application to PennDOT. It includes, there are two plans that were included. One was part of that submission, one was emailed the second day, the next day after that. We are showing this concept that's there in front of you with this driveway location. We also shared with them a layout where the driveway essentially attached to Gramis instead of the Chapmans. Having said that, we're waiting for PennDOT to respond. And I've had a number of emails back and forth with Brian Boyer. He doesn't have time to give us a review in time for this meeting. Hoping that he'll have something for us before our zoning meeting on Monday, but I don't have a guarantee of that either.
And the quandary we do face is that we can only go so far without knowing whether the Wawa is approved, because if you recall, part of our application is we need a special exception for the Wawa. So we're going to go to zoning, request a special exception. We're going to leave this driveway here with an explanation to the zoning board that we're seeking relief for the separation distance requirement, but understand that ultimately it will be wherever it works out in land development and with PennDOT, be it on Gramis or be it the one that we show on Chapman. So we think that's an appropriate way to proceed, because if you do recall, South Whitehall is somewhat unique in terms of that requirement being virtually identical in both the zoning and the saldo. And yet here we are with state roads, so we're subject to PennDOT jurisdiction. And we're chasing our tail a little bit, particularly because of needing the use relief. We'd be in a different situation if the Wawa was permitted by right, because then we would just be here and we'd be following the normal course. But we were uncomfortable with going too far before we got the special exception for the Wawa. And it doesn't make sense to not at least broach the driveway at zoning. But we just wanted everyone to know that ultimately it's going to be PennDOT's decision. And and Pete said, look, let's give them both. We're willing, we're not married to either one. We want what works out the best, but we still kind of are leaning to, we like this one better for some reasons, but we're playing, we're laying it on the table. So.
Are you telling PennDOT where the bus stop is also?
That hasn't been determined yet, wherever they like it.
Okay, because that's another, we've seen that in other places.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, we have no objection, but what we submitted to PennDOT doesn't have anything specific about a bus stop location.
Okay.
Just looking at it for 5 minutes, I do appreciate the sidewalk along Chapman's. And I wonder if we had the plan for the push and pull to show where they were proposing their sidewalk and curb. So they are seamless.
Forgive me, because I might have missed some of these meetings, but this takes into account, I think Chapman's was going to change. There's some alteration of Chapman's with the construction of the warehouse.
Yeah, there was a shoulder.
And that's all taking into account the future Chapman's Road. I think it's changing somewhat the layout of it for the truck.
This plan doesn't show the widened shoulder. It shows the existing shoulder. But as we proceed, we will show that wide.
Okay, and you're aware that that's imminent, I think.
If
Yeah,
you
it
go
was
out there,
imminent a few years ago when we talked about
if you go out there right now, they're building stuff. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they're
Taking down
building, but I think
trees.
part of that was the kind of the redirection of Chapman's Road to make it more accessible for tractor trailers. So it's going to change your layout a little bit.
As we move forward, we will definitely pick up that
Okay.
design.
All right, thanks.
And this plan does remove a lot of the potential issues that we were concerned about.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a much cleaner plan.
we can't solve what we know is the biggest issue yet, the location of that driveway, but it really helps in a lot of other ways. And we think, I mean, the reason we came here, other than to allow me to embarrass myself, was so that we would kind of say, I think we're on the right path now, based upon the feedback we got and the machinations we've gone through to try to make this make sense with what we have to deal with that driveway.
I know previously you said it was an underutilized lot, and then when those previous submissions, my thought was now it's overutilized.
Is there a phrase about 10 pounds? I mean, maybe someone said that, but I mean, we're okay with this now, and you know, it solves some of the problems.
Out of everything I've looked at for this parcel, this I like the best.
All right.
Yeah, so we're much more comfortable with that. We are still looking, you know, 309 has issues up and down, you know, from Ridgeview up to Chapman's, you know, how are we going to do all, you know, so I'm hoping that, you know, we actually want to talk to PennDOT and, so I'm hoping that the new plan doesn't go right through this, but you know, however things, but
on that note, we've submitted the scoping application to PennDOT. Typically, they'll respond with comments and ask if we want to have a meeting. I hear you loud and clear. We will request that meeting with the township staff as we move forward.
As a traffic engineer, are you anticipating that you're going to require a left turn arrow for 309 North?
I've gotten that far.
I think it's in your future, but just, you know, just living in this area my whole entire life, it's difficult to make a left turn there. And this is going to be a pass-through destination for people to get gas. And if they want to take that left, it's going to be a challenge.
I appreciate your experience. And many times I'll tell people my driver's license is the thing that makes me most valuable as a traffic engineer. But I'll also tell you, I have to meet the numbers that are intended.
Understood.
So that's why I don't know what those numbers are yet. So.
And it might not just be your project, it's the other projects that are going on in the area that may trigger that or not trigger that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
this is the southbound arrow to go into the existing.
No, it's the northbound on 309 to go left onto Chapman.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
There's a turn lane there, but there's no arrow to, so you kind of wait and you get one or two cars through at a queue sometimes. So.
I'm always going straight there, so I don't have
I mean, that's because you never come to visit me.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's all we had, but we thought it made sense to just come lay this out in case there was something here that we were missing. We didn't want to have to redo it. So, but it sounds like, I mean, and I know we're just finishing this plan up, but it sounds like we're in pretty good shape now to go on.
So far, nothing looks out of order. I'll work on it to see if I can find something.
Please do. We'd expect nothing less. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. All right. Are there any more comments from the floor, courtesy of the floor? Online? Oh. Greg.
December Planning Commission meeting. I believe they are intending to submit plans on Monday for the December meeting. We also have a new project coming. This is the Dorneyville Shopping Center Fast Casual Restaurant. It'll be a pad site in the Dorneyville Shopping Center parking lot close to Hamilton Boulevard. A small fast casual restaurant with a drive-through.
Is that like in front of like where the chicken lounge is, kind of?
Yeah.
Pizza Hut, that corner?
Ish, yeah.
Okay, so, and the Wawa that we just.
And
saw.
the Wawa, yeah.
And that's it? Just
And that's it?
two?
Just two.
And.
Well, Long's Water, if they can.
Yeah.
Long's gonna.
Yep, they're gonna
push.
attempt to get in on, so that would be three if they make it. I
Okay.
believe they'll make it. So.
Okay. And
Ridge Farm is not looking like.
No, they'll take a month and digest our comments. I believe they plan to come back in January.
Okay. All right. So next month, Dorneyville Shopping Center, Wawa, and Long's probably.
Yes.
Okay.
And don't forget the ever important election of officers
Is also next month.
is also next month. Start your campaigning now.
All right. And
Motion to adjourn?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We done.